This video is a factoring recap, which is a skill you will use in geometry next year. So we're going to solve by factoring and then using zero product property. So in order to factor, we need to have the equation equal to 0, which it is. So now we are going to see what are two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8. So two numbers that multiply to 12 are 3 and 4, but those only add to 7. Two other numbers are 2 and 6, and those add to 8. So those are going to be our factors. So in parentheses, we'd have x plus 6 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. Then each parenthesis with an x is going to be set equal to 0, and we are going to solve for x. So in the first equation, we would subtract 6 from both sides, so x is negative 6. Then we would subtract negative 2 in the second one, or subtract 2, and we get x is negative 2. In number 2, it is not equal to 0. So we are going to have to move it over to the other side. So first thing we want to do is we want to subtract 7x to both sides, and we want to subtract 36 to both sides. So we get x squared minus 5x minus 36 is equal to 0. So now we need two numbers that multiply to negative 36 and add to negative 5. So we want one number of each sign. Because we're adding to a negative, we want our negative number to be bigger. So we'd have negative 9 and 4. So we get x minus 9 times x plus 4 equals 0. Each parenthesis gets set equal to 0, so x minus 9 equals 0 and x plus 4 equals 0. In the first equation, we add 9, so x equals 9. In the second one, we subtract 4, so x equals negative 4. In number 3, to get equal to 0, we're going to add 2x to both sides, and we are going to subtract 5 from both sides. So we get x squared plus 12x plus 20 is equal to 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 12. So that's going to be 10 and 2. So we have x plus 10 times x plus 2 equals 0. Each part gets set equal to 0, so x plus 10 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 10 from both sides, so x equals negative 10. Subtract 2 from both sides, so x equals negative 2. In number 4, x squared minus 10 equals 2x plus 38, so we're going to subtract 2x from both sides and subtract 38 from both sides, so we get x squared minus 2x minus 48 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 48 and add to negative 2. So we have negative 8 and 6. So x minus 8 times x plus 6 equals 0. Each part gets set equal to 0, so x minus 8 equals 0. X plus 6 equals 0. We can add 8 on both sides, so x equals 8. And we can subtract 6 on both sides, so x equals negative 6. In number 5, we're going to subtract x squared from both sides, and we're going to subtract 8x from both sides, so we get x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to 15 and add to negative 8. So in this case, if we're multiplying to a positive but adding to a negative, both numbers need to be negative. So we're going to have negative 5 and negative 3. So we get x minus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. So x minus 5 equals 0 and x minus 3 equals 0. We can add 5 to both sides, so x equals 5. And we can add 3 to both sides, so x equals 3. In our last problem, x squared plus 2x equals x plus 6. We're going to subtract x from both sides and subtract 6 from both sides. So we get x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply negative 6 but add to 1. We're going to need different signs because we are multiplying to a negative number, so we're going to use 3 and negative 2. So x plus 3 times x minus 2 equals 0. Each parenthesis gets set equal to 0. So we can subtract 3 on both sides, x equals negative 3. We can add 2 on both sides, so x equals 2.